is up, guys? My name is Carbon Fiber K9, and we are here with Diablo 4. Uh, I pre-ordered a bigger edition, so I kind of got it early, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to discuss a little bit about these classes and which one I think would be super beneficial to a new player and advanced players. So my personal choice is the Necromancer. But but the big thing to remember is with the Necromancer, you have an early game overpoweredness, right? But with the Druid, you can also get that early game overpoweredness. Another good selection would be the Rogue. And the only reason I say that is because the Rogue has both melee and ranged at its disposal. Barbarian, you're not overpowered early in the game, but as the game goes on, you kind of kick up into them higher damage points. So the beautiful thing about the Barbarian is I think it's right about level 15 that what is it? Yeah, become a walking arsenal. So there's something that happens with the Barbarian around level 15. I don't remember what it is. We will be covering it eventually. Not today, but eventually. So, the beautiful thing right now is Necromancers, they're overpowered. The Druids, they're overpowered. And the Rogues, they're overpowered. They're all early game builds. But if you're looking for a glass cannon that, has a decent amount of sustain, like, you're not super sustainable like a Barbarian or a Druid, because both of those are technically hybrid tanks. They both can deal a lot of damage, they can both take a lot of damage. The amount of damage that they do is less than those three main damage classes, right? Both the Sorcerer and the Rogue, and then the Necromancer. Now the difference with the Necromancer from the Sorcerer and the Rogue is the Sorcerer, the Necromancer, um, you get minions, and your minions are able to go in there and just start demolishing pretty much anything that you throw at it. The downside is they can die. The upside is they don't just randomly despawn. So the benefit that you gain is if you build it right, you can, and you will, end up never running out of corpses, always having minions. And if you focus hard enough on those minions and empowering them and building your build around the minions, you have some solid damage output with very little input on damage. Mainly because your skeletons will just throw themselves in front of you to take the damage for you. Not like, actually throw themselves in front of you, but they're going to be there and they're going to take damage for you because they pull aggro. So, on the flip side of that, you can also dismiss all of your minions and get other bonuses as well. So the Necromancer, top tier in my opinion. Then right behind the Necromancer, we have the Druid. Right? So you get Werewolf, a Werebear, Storm, Earth, and I believe you also get a couple of... Oh, I just woke up not too long ago. But I think you also get a couple of minions yourself. I think you can get some wolves, a couple of birds, which I think the birds are ravens or crows or bats, something. There was some other form of like minion type thing you can get with a druid. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I know for a fact you get some wolves. I'm almost 100% positive on that. But the druids are right behind necromancers in terms of output damage. Just for the simple fact that they can take it and they can dish it. Plus they have minions, the same as the necromancer, in order to push out all that damage. And then, again, in my personal opinion, you have right here with the rogue. So the rogue, this is what sets the rogue apart from the rest of them, and why the rogue is so much closer to the druid in terms of damage, and so much closer to the necromancer in terms of damage, compared to the sorcerer or the barbarian, because of the imbuements. Now keep in mind, all of these classes, they are very close together with damage, but some deal it just a little bit faster or higher. And that's the way that I'm ranking them with my experience that I had in the beta, excluding the I think it was the druid and the necromancer, and then I had my way with them on a different beta. So it's touch and go. My main character right now is a necromancer, so I do know the necromancer. I've already got it, started to level up and working on the story and all that. But the rogue, ADHD brain, we're getting off topic. Imbuements. So you can imbue your weapons with poison, cold, or shadow energies. And these imbuements give attacks special properties when they damage enemies. Plus the traps. And then the marksman. Being able to use bows and crossbows. Long bows, short bows. You're as a rogue, you're gonna depend a lot on your critical strike chance, which is why it ends up being so close up there to the druid and the necromancer, in my opinion, because you want crit strike chance, plus you want, those elements, poison, cold, shadow. You want to be able to do that, and then you want to be able to control the battlefield while doing all that with those traps, like slowing, poisoning them, getting that DOT going while you, run around and heal if you just happen to get unlucky enough and got caught. So the rogue is also a solid choice. Necromancer, druid, rogue, all solid choices. And then we move to one that I don't know that well, which is a sorcerer. And he may move up the list once we get to know him. Today we are going to play with the sorcerer, but I just want to try and go over him really quick. Masters of the elements. Sorcerers inflict cold, fire, and lightning damage to subdue their enemies. Frost. Frost skills chill enemies, reducing their movement speed. Chilling enemies will eventually freeze them, causing them to be unable to act. Okay, so you can freeze your enemies in place, and they can't do anything about it. Pyromancy. Un momento. Ah. So now we have the pyromancy. Pyromancy skills focus on dealing fire damage. These skills deal a high amount of damage and cause enemies to burn for additional damage over time. So with the frost, you can literally freeze them. And with the pyromancy, you get DOT. So then with shock, uses lightning to defeat enemies. These skills have many ways to reduce cooldowns and benefit especially well when critically striking. So it looks like your shock is where you're really going to excel in your damage, because it reduces cooldowns, it seems, and you're kind of going to want to crit strike with it. So being able to crit with magic is... it's not something new, but it's also less talked about. But the sorcerer, what it seems like it is a perfect all-rounder. So in terms of your frost skills and everything, you can chill them and freeze them, reduce their movement speed, keep them in one place, and you come back behind with the pyromancy, which is DOT, and just laying damage on with the DOT and the high damage that pyromancy gives. But then you also have the shock, which granted they don't say it, with it benefiting especially well when crit striking, that could either match or exceed pyromancy. It just depends on how well you focus on it. So the sorcerer very well could top the necromancer, rogue, or the druid. But until we figure out how he works and play with him a little bit, we're not gonna know. So we are gonna go and play the sorcerer. Got this guy. Customize. Oh, nope. Nope. There we go. Go black, black. Boom. Bingo. Boom. Next. Alright, so if we remember, he's a sorcerer, so that one for the balance. The reason why I choose that is just in my mind, sorcerers, the good and evil, the balance of everything. Like, where'd my other arm go? Why don't I have another arm? They have balance. They want to be able to match the good with the evil, the bad and the good. It's just what they do. After that, we can just remove that. We're not going to do hardcore, but we are going to randomize and add that just so that I know for future reference. And per always, because that's how I am, we are going into World Tier 2. Because that's where I feel most comfortable with. And of course, we're queued. That didn't take long.
Sanctuary was never meant for humankind. It was forged as a refuge from the war between the high heavens and the burning hells. Instead,
Alright, so to skip cutscenes, just something that I want to cover really quick.
I should find better
It is
shelter
escape
before
on
I
mouse and
freeze.
keyboard, B on Xbox controllers, and circle on PlayStation controllers. Just so that everybody is on the same page. That is not what I wanted. That is what I wanted. Right, so if we look here to the abilities, so to start out we have Spark, which is Bolt of Lightning that shocks an enemy 4 times, 2 damage each hit. Then you have a Bolt of Frost, 10 damage with chilling. Firebolt, which is a flaming bolt with 3 damage, burning 12 over 8 seconds. And then Arc Lash, unleash arcing lightning that deals 12 damage to enemies in front of you. Every 10 times Arc Lash swipes, it stuns all enemies hit for 2 seconds. Now that sounds like a nice one, but let's also go over some of these too. So if Arc Lash initial swipe critically strikes, it swipes an additional time. Then you have Glinting Arc Lash, which is the upgrade for Enhanced Arc Lash to Glinting or Flickering. Glinting is hitting a stunned enemy with Arc Lash reduces cooldowns by 0.15 seconds. Not very much, but hey. cooldowns aren't that long anyways. To get 0.15 off of it, that just means that it's a it's a little bit faster. It's desirable. But flickering arc lash has gained 6% movement speed for 5 seconds per enemy hit with arc lash up to 18%. Now, in a pinch, that's going to help you, especially if you get swarmed. And anyone who's been playing knows it is very easy for you to get swarmed or caught off guard just randomly. You're going to get caught off guard. So, Firebolt, Enhanced Firebolt, pierces through burning enemies, generates 2 mana when hitting a burning enemy, or crit strikes with Firebolt increase the burning damage you deal by 20% for 4 seconds. Now that one looks more desirable just because mana, and you want resource regeneration as much as you possibly can, just because that resource regeneration really does make a difference. So to go over the Frostbolt now, we have Enhanced Frostbolt, 15% chance to explode on chilled enemies, hitting surrounding enemies, chance increased to 100% against frozen enemies. Okay. Generates 4 mana when hitting chilled or frozen. And makes frozen enemies vulnerable. See, now that is what I like there. That vulnerable. Alright? Vulnerable enemies take 20% increased damage. So even if you don't think you have a good output, if you can make them vulnerable, you can change your output. Not drastically, but you can change it. And it may just make it a little bit more desirable to have that extra 20% damage thrown in there. So now we have the Spark. Each time Spark hits its primary target, it has a 40% chance to hit up to 3 additional enemies, dealing 1 damage. If there are no other enemies to hit, Spark instead deals 20% increased damage to its primary target. Then you have Glinting, which is 2% increased crit chance per cast for 5 seconds and up to 8%. That's not a whole lot. That is definitely not desirable. That is less than 10% without items. And then you have Flickering. Each time Spark hits an enemy, it has a 3% chance to form a Crackling Energy. Crackling Energy periodically damages surrounding enemies when picked up. So the only one that really sounds desirable to me, right, that could actually benefit us as playing a Sorcerer, knowing that this base damage is 10, this base damage is 3 plus burning 12 over 8 seconds, and this is 12 to enemies in front. I really want to say the Arc Lash is your best bet for a quick startup. Because when you get down here, you got 2 frost paths to go, 2 fire paths to go, 2 shock paths to go. Plus you got warding, devastation, elemental dominance. And then they hit you with a normal setup like that. Glass cannon. Elemental attunement. Flame shield. Teleport. Ice armor. Frost nova. Frost nova. See, that would be very effective if you get surrounded a lot, or if you get caught off guard a lot. We move down here to Hydra, Ice Blades, and Lightning Spear. I've got to say the Hydra is going to be your best friend. I don't even have to read more about that. That's just, it's going to be your best friend. Your cast of Hydra gain 1 additional head. Also burdens enemies for additional 12% of its base. Yeah. Summoned Hydra. Enhanced Hydra with Summoned Hydra. That seems like the best the best outcome. Then we get down here to these. Blizzard, Meteor, Firewall, Ball Lightning. Knowing that your enemies are going to be coming after you anyways, a Firewall would definitely be effective. And then the Enhanced Firewall. Enemies take a quarter increased damage while you stand in the firewall. Enemies continue burning for 3 seconds after leaving, or 5% increased mana regen per active firewall, up to 25%. So that means that you can have up to 5 firewalls active. You could literally wall yourself off. Just firewall, 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 firewall. I forget my corners. Firewall, firewall. just sit there and, I mean, that says at least 5 firewalls. That's just a mana regeneration that's telling us at least 5 firewalls are possible. And with a mana cost like 30, it's going to take you a minute to make sure that you can get all 5. See, and then you have things like this, which force you to really consider staying with the fire skills. What are these? These the ultimates? Yeah, ultimates. Inferno, Fiery Serpent, Deep Freeze, Immune for 4 seconds, Unstable Currents. See, and that would be good, except that it only lasts for 10 seconds. I feel this ultimate would be better in terms of output, especially when you talk about like a boss, and you know the boss is the only one you're really fighting. Yeah, they can summon minions, but knowing that the boss is really the only one that's fighting, because the minions just die so dang quick. Inferno all the way. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, Inferno. And then these are really just, you know, however you build. You got Avalanche, Shatter, Overflowing Energy. That one doesn't seem too bad. Veer's Mastery. That's not a bad one either. You guys can't see that. Here we go. Isu's Ferocity. Fire crit strike damage is increased by 25% with enemies above half-life. And the crit chance is increased by 5%. No. That doesn't sound good at all. Burning effects deal 2% increased damage per unique source of burning you have applied. If the enemy is burning from 3 or more sources, this bonus is doubled. That would not be a bad idea, and the only reason I say that is because, well, yes, 2% increased damage isn't much. When you consider 3 sources of burning damage, increasing 4% per unique source, right? That's 4%, 4%, 4%. For 3 sources, because it says for each unique source. So it's compounding itself, and it doesn't have a limit on it. Granted, there may not be, you know, that many things to apply a burn to them, but it is an option to use it that way. 4% increase on this burn, and 4% increase on this burn, and 4% increase on this burn, and this burn, and you know, let's say for example from the Inferno, burning enemies for 89 over 8 seconds. Now increase that by 4%. And then you take Firewall. 48 over 8 seconds. 4%. Hydra! Well, it doesn't really burn. There's the burn. Hydra! 4% increase. And that's 12% of its base damage. We come up here, and Flame Shield. Incinerate. Well, that looks like a good one. Burning. Additional 4%. That's 4 burning things that you can do. Oh, and then of course you have the Firebolt from the base, which is 5. So basically overall a 20% increase if you just focus on fire the whole way. That's not a bad toss-up. It is definitely in the books to build it that way, but it may take a minute to get there, and that's fine. I'm not going to go there just yet. I'm going to focus on this lightning stuff because, if I remember correctly, it was broken. We don't have much time to go down into everything. But in addition, I do play with controller, so yeah, so they gotta be like right in front of you. Broken right off the bat. Just absolutely demolished those wargs. Like, no contest. No contest. I feel like that video that circulates every couple of years with the guy who he's so angry about something and he just starts slapping people, and then they line up and they come towards him and he just keeps slapping them out of the way, and then the cops show up and he does the same thing and he slaps the cat out of the tree, just sitting there, boom, 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 boom. That's what it feels like to play with the Arc Clash.
Another abandoned town.
Another abandoned town.
Everywhere. Fangs in the dark.
Ah! He bit me!
Careful! He's a wild one.
What's it to you?
Oswin, hush! I'm sorry, Wanderer. You've come at a difficult time. This madman just stopped. Come.
Yeah. We're not doing a Let's Play just yet. We will be, but not yet. And definitely not as a sorcerer.
There is evil staring in the ruins to the north.
Well, the sorcerer is nice. It is not how I want to... This is not how I want to play.
Even a holy man like him was driven mad by whatever he
I can recognize the potential and appreciate it and bring you guys that, but the sorcerer just is not my favorite character.
Could you
Neither
us
is the
from whatever
barbarian.
is out there?
Like, I
We
could play the
have
druid, the
nowhere else to
necro,
turn.
and the rogue all day
There
long.
is evil lurking in those ruins. I
Sorcerer,
will drag
not
it
my
into
cup
the
of
light
tea.
day.
It has some major fucking potential,
Thank you.
but not my cup of tea. Boom. Right, so how I would do this is I wouldn't even go towards that crit strike just yet, because you can't get either one of those. Just because I'm me and that's you know, it's the way that I think. Boom. Upgrade it. Keep the damage fresh. But that is all the time that we have for this episode. So, as of right now, Sorcerer, broken. Most definitely out of the gate, broken. I do have a new respect for the sorcerers. I did dabble with one in the beta. I didn't like it much, but I will say from the beta to now, broken. Verdict is in, broken. So, without further ado, y'all stay beautiful, stay awesome, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye!